all stressed out right now in college with finals and everything. And imagine playing a sport on top of it, having 4 hours of practice a day on top of weightlifting and running sprints on another practice. My best friend plays lacrosse at Villanova, and on her 3rd hour of practice, the week of her biggest rivalry game, she tore her ACL and her MCL. She was running at her sprint practice and she stepped wrong on the field and she tore her whole ACL and MCL. This leads me to my question: are athletes overtrained and pushed out of their mental and physical limits? I'm Krista Giordano, and in my speech I'm going to answer what is overtraining, what the warning signs of being overtrained are, and how can you prevent yourself from being overtrained. My first thing is overtraining. Overtraining, that is a definition from sportsmedicine.org, is training for a competition or a specific event and being trained beyond the body's ability to recover. Athletes often exercise longer and harder so they can improve, but without adequate rest and recovery, these training regimens can backfire and actually decrease their performance. Overtraining causes psychological problems, physiological problems, and performance problems. Some of the side effects from being overtrained are that according to the national study done by an organization called Stop Sports Injuries, high school athletes account for an estimated 2 million injuries, 500,000 doctor visits, and 30,000 hospital visits. Since 1995, 29 football players have died of heat stroke at their football practice, which is another side effect from overtraining. In 2008, a 15-year-old football player was at practice, and it was a 94-degree day, and he actually ended up dying. He threw up after running, got up, started running sprints again. He fell down, and when he tried to get up again, he collapsed, and his eyes rolled into the back of his head, and he started to convulse. That was another side effect from overtraining. It also causes mental side effects. Athletes often become burnt out, and overtraining causes mental exhaustion and often leads for players to stop playing the sport. MSNBC does a lot of research about overtraining, and they did several national studies, and one of the surveys resulted that the most common reason why athletes quit their sports is because it's no longer fun. They feel that their parents take the sport way too seriously, or the coaches push them too hard, and they don't even enjoy the sport anymore. 75% of athletes stop participating in sports compared from middle school age to high school age. They all gave it up, and most of them was for the reason of they didn't think the sport was fun anymore. It often leads to exhaustion, and they don't want to go to practice at all anymore. So, in order to avoid overtraining, you need to be aware of it so you know not to push yourself that hard. Some of the warning signs of being overtrained is a washed out feeling, being tired all the time, having constant aches and pains, being really moody, having a compulsive need to exercise even though you're exhausted because you want to get better at your sport. Sometimes you could feel depressed because you feel like you're not receiving the results that you're working for in your sport, and you don't have as much as an enthusiasm for the sport anymore. And this is all according to sportsmedicine.org. Overtraining can be prevented. The main point of playing a sport is to have fun and is to be able to learn from it and manage your time. And when you overtrain, you don't enjoy these things anymore, and it becomes more of an obsession, and it doesn't work as well, and you're losing the main points of having a sport. Everyone always knows the expression, it's just a game, it doesn't matter if you win or lose, and that's what it should be about, not overworking your body to a point that you can't enjoy it anymore. So the main way to avoid overtraining is to prevent this from happening. And to prevent it from happening, you need to spread awareness. Athletes need to listen to their bodies and not overly exert themselves. The more athletes that know about overtraining means that there will be less athletes that will suffer from this. Thank you.